Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, Humza Yousaf says he's not going to stand down even if the SNP lose the next election. There's no if. There is no if about this at all. They're going to lose. He's saying he's going to lead them into the next election with hope in his heart. He says that he's hoping for a win, and if he doesn't win, he'll be disappointed, but he's not going to quit. Well, if he loses the by-election, then loses the council elections, then loses the general election, and then loses the Scottish Parliament elections, and he still won't stand down, I suspect a lot of people will be having a word with him to the effect of jump before you're pushed as well. And he will be forced out, of course he will. But for him to say he's not going to stand down because he's failed, it kind of sees the reasoning now for them all standing up for Lorna Slater. Another serial failure. She fails in everything, and it still can't be dismissed from her position because they have no spine. It's as true as that. But we'll take a look at this article to see why Humza Yousaf says that he is like glue and he's sticking to the boss's chair. Well, he'll do as he's told until Sturgeon tells him it's time to go. Effectively, she's still the real power behind the throne. But anyway, we'll have a look at this and see what's going on. Here you go. So Humza Yousaf refuses to say if he'll quit if the SNP lose the election. Now, he was talking to Sky News, and I'm not going to go through all of this. It's just basically sort of regurgitating what's happened recently with Murrells and the arrest and the investigation. So we're not going to go over all that again. But interviewed on Sky News this morning, we'll go into it down here. Interviewed on Sky News this morning, Mr Yousaf denied privately wanting Miss Sturgeon to stay away from Parliament because of adverse publicity. He denies it, but I bet he actually does want her to stay away. He said she's a very good parliamentarian. She's got a good contribution to make, and therefore I'm not surprised she's coming back to Parliament. She's been there for a number of weeks already since stepping down as leader of the SNP and stepping down as First Minister. Well, it's true, she has been there a few times, but she hasn't done anything. She hasn't made any contributions. She's just sat there silently, biding her time, seething, planning, plotting. You can see it in her. She's like that, isn't she? Anyway, asked if Miss Sturgeon could be the death knell for the independence movement, given the SNP slide in the polls. Mr Yousaf said, I don't believe that at all. What I believe is that, yes, the last couple of months have been extremely challenging for the SNP. Well, there's the understatement of the week. He says, I'm not going to fool your viewers by denying that being the case. But despite being the toughest few weeks, the toughest few months probably, in our party's recent history, support for independence is absolutely rock solid, he says. We've got that solid support for independence. No, you haven't. You've got some support for independence from the minority of Scots who care about it. You have not got any rock solid support. It's ridiculous to say that and pass it off as truth. Anyway, he said, asked if he would stand down if Labour took more seats than the SNP at the general election. He tried to laugh off the question, but he did not give a yes or no answer. And basically, when they don't answer, it's because they don't want to. They're either not capable of, or they don't want to tell the truth. So he said, it's incredible. He said, I've been in the job 3 months. It must be a record if someone's asked me if I'll stand down and not a single ballot has been cast. But the point is, he's not saying no. He's not saying yes, and he's not saying no. He's not giving an answer. He doesn't want to go. He thinks that he's going to fight an election, lose spectacularly, and still keep his job, he reckons. But, it is the SNP. Weirder things happen. It's... No other party would let him get away with it, put it that way. He said, I don't go into elections other than hoping to win. Well, yeah, you can go in with hope. Hope is fine. But you know you're not going to win this election. You know you are going to get routed. It is going to be an absolute churn. It's going to be a massacre. There'll be SNP seats going left, right and centre. It's just a question of how many. Anyway, last week, Mr Yousaf called Miss Sturgeon the most impressive politician in Europe. Has he not been to Europe? She's awful. Anyway, which is when his MSP sent her flowers, blah, blah, blah. We don't care about that. Anyway, I'll just come down here. He's just basically going on about how great she is. Humza loves Nicola. It's vomit-inducing, really. I'm not going to bother you with it. But reminded that the last SNP leader not to have been arrested was John Swinney, who stood down 19 years ago. Mr Yousaf said, I think there's no doubt I'm not going to insult the intelligence of your viewers to suggest otherwise, that the last few weeks and even months have been really difficult. Possibly even some of the most difficult months we face as a party in our recent history. In fact, that is right, isn't it? Swinney is the last one that, apart from Humza Yousaf, wasn't he arrested? He was arrested on an insurance fraud thing, wasn't it? He was driving a car with no insurance. I believe he was arrested. Yeah. So John Swinney is the last SNP leader that has never been arrested. So far. I can't say any more. Anyway, he says, my relentless focus will be on reducing poverty and child poverty in particular. Well, I should think so. You've caused most of it. He said, people will look at recent events and there will be challenges for the SNP in regards to that. But my job as First Minister is to make sure we don't and will not lose focus on the importance of getting on with the day job. And that's what I'm determined to do. You can't do your day job, man. You spend your entire life talking about independence. It's independence first, last, and in the middle. That's why so many people in Scotland are in poverty, and you're saying we're going to have to concentrate on poverty. You have been concentrating on poverty. Poverty's flourishing under the SNP. It's the one growth area. It's the one thing you've managed to do well, putting people into poverty and misery. Well done. Anyway, I'm going to round off and come up because the guy's a joke, isn't he? Oh well. He really thinks that he is untouchable. He thinks that you can more or less do anything you like and you can't be got rid of in the SNP. He appears to be right, though, given how many of his ministers deserve to be fired and yet strangely are still in their jobs. It is a case, of course, that many of them are choosing to leave because they are not up to the job. They can't handle the job. Your new transport secretary left because he just literally wasn't in the right mental frame of mind to deal with all the problems. Your previous one is going to be, got quite a lot of trouble. Luckily you cleared her though, involving works on rails and things like that. You've got your green minister, who is just a serial failure at every single thing she's done. You've got nobody in your party that knows what they're talking about, and yet you sit there and say, yes, but I'm going to lead them forever. They're probably stupid enough to let that happen. Absolutely. And it's great. Don't get me wrong. You stay put, mate. You stay. You don't go. Because if you go, they might get someone in charge who knows what they're doing. And that would be troublesome, wouldn't it? God, can you imagine that? Nah, neither can I. Anyway, I shall round off there. Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you hear and see on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. And dear heavens to Betsy, do please stay in your job, Humza Yousaf. You are doing an absolute blinder of a job. Bye.